Hey guys, Meteorologist Chris Tomer here with this Tuesday mountain weather update. A lot to talk about in this update, but we're going to start in Colorado. That's Arapahoe Basin. You can see the east wall. It is windy with some gusts up to 50 this morning above tree line. Temperatures are 0 or colder up there above tree line, and we picked up another 2 or 3 inches of accumulation in the last 24 hours. I talked about the shrouding effect over the Continental Divide of Colorado, how the snow would just continue off and on all the way through this morning, and that's exactly what we've seen. It's hung up. We're continuing to condensate and snow that out over the top of the Continental Divide. So that's Arapahoe Basin. Loveland in a very similar situation with 2 or 3 inches of new snow, Winter Park, Keystone. Now, if you go west of the Continental Divide, this storm system has overproduced. It is an overperformer. This is Vail. They're reporting 6 inches of new snow at Vail. You can see the snow stake overperforming Aspen snowmass as well. They're reporting up to 8 inches of snowfall in the last 24 to roughly 36 hours. To me, this looked like maybe a 2 to 4 inch snow, but now we've seen some numbers doubling that. So combination of cold air, a northwest flow, and the flow just kind of getting hung up over the high peaks and continuing to snow, really hoping to overperform this one. Here's radar. I mean, you really can't see anything, and this is one of the signature effects of this northwest flow. Once it gets hung up over the top of the Continental Divide, it just continues to squeeze out orographic snow. So it's not necessarily storm snow, but it's orographic snow. But it's up there. The radar just can't see it. I mean, that's the bottom line. Okay, let's go to the northeast. So this is Killington reporting 6 inches of new snow in the last 24 hours. You can see the view. Pretty cloudy, mid-mountain and higher up there at Killington. You can see some wind blowing up there. Now, the issue is the flow is turning, and the flow is going to come more out of the southwest, the south and the southwest. And so a warmer pattern is evolving with a coastal storm, and it's going to be all rain for all of the ski areas in the northeast on 12/11. I'll look at that coming up. Here's radar. You can see some snow right on that New York to Canadian border. Some rain showers down into the Ohio River Valley. Just waiting on this coastal storm to come up and develop. And it's going to have a lot of precip, but it's also going to be very warm. All right, let me give you the lay of the land out west here. So this is water vapor satellite imagery. Let me mark the storm system. So drier air aloft in the mid-levels is in your oranges and your reds, your storm system. You've got one here, you've got one up here, got one behind it. So you can kind of see the flow here. It's all being directed right now up into parts of BC and Alaska, and then everything has been diving down into the Great Lakes. Now that's changing. This energy out here will eventually break down a high pressure ridge which has been trying to develop and stay put across the west. So that whole complex will eventually, you can see the drier air here, will eventually break down this ridge of high pressure, and then all of this will begin to move in with a more active jet stream across the west. And I've got 3 storm systems lined up. Here are my bullet points this morning. So Colorado, you've got leftover wind and snow and cold this morning with residual snow showers. Then for the West in general, California, Idaho, Wyoming, Montana, Utah, Colorado, 3 additional storm systems lined up in the extended forecast. And like I was saying, up in the Northeast, it's going to be rain on 12/11. Here are my key dates for snow, my snow timeline for the Wasatch, Tetons, Colorado, Tahoe, interior BC, and the Northeast. And there's a lot of snow here on the board, again, with 3 different storm systems. Let's just go, for example, in the Wasatch, late 12/12 into 12/13, light to moderate accumulations. Looks to be heavy potentially on 12/15 and then light on 12/17. In Colorado, the morning of 12/10, even late 12/9, light accumulations. 12/13, light to moderate, 12/15, moderate, and 12/17, moderate snow accumulations. Let's dig into this just a little bit. Here's Alta ski area, 9,000 feet, the forecast mediagram. So here's our column for today, Tuesday the 10th. There's the 11th. There's the 12th. There's the 13th. So you can see what's happening. The next snow comes in on the 12th in the afternoon, evening, and into early 13. So afternoon of the 12th, we'll probably pick up 5-6 inches of accumulation across Alta, Snowbird, Solitude, and Brighton. Winds increase out ahead of this, gusting to 30 to 40 as the snow comes in. Obviously, the humidity increases. Temperature profile. Today, highs at 9,000 in the upper teens. Tomorrow, upper 20s. Mid to upper 20s on Thursday, and then the temperatures plummet on Friday behind that storm system and that front into the single digits. So new snow is on the way. It's just about 2.5 days away for Alta and Snowbird, Solitude, Brighton. Okay, let's go back to Colorado. Still drilling down on the situation here. So this is the wind forecast for Arapahoe Basin, and I've been talking about the shrouding effect for the last 48 hours. Notice the wind forecast. So the winds are primarily out of the northwest. Keeps the shrouding effect, makes it almost appear invisible on radar. But look at the gusts, 40, 50 miles per hour all day long above tree line at A Basin. So strong winds and cold temperatures today. Winds settle down tomorrow, and then the winds start to gust again later in the week with the next front. Here's the time height forecast for Arapahoe Basin, a relative or a humidity forecast, a moisture type forecast through all the vertical layers of the atmosphere, time lens at the bottom for the next 72 hours. You read that from right to left. Now notice the low level green hugging the ridge lines, hugging to about 14,000 all the way through today, basically. So that northwest flow continues to shroud a lot of the high peaks with snow showers and wind today. Then we start to see a little deeper moisture profile come in late on the 12th and into the 13th. That's the next snow chance. So that's what's going to bring this. This is a snow forecast for Arapahoe Basin. Potentially another ½ inch of snow today with the shrouding effect. Then that next snow comes in late 12 into 13, and we could be looking at about 3 inches of accumulation out of that at Arapahoe Basin. To all my friends out at Aspen Snowmass, throw this in here. Your next snow is coming. Afternoon 12 into 13, looking at about 3 to 4 inches of accumulation out of that batch. Okay, let's talk about the jet stream. So close of business today. By the time we get into 11:30 tonight, you can see the pattern. Really a northwest flow cutting right across Colorado. The big deep trough is what's developing to the east of us, that coastal storm system that's going to rain in the northeast, and there it goes. Now watch the jet though across the west. It turns much more active here, 12-12, 12-13. It's further to the south. You're getting ripples of low pressure that ride it in from California into Utah, Wyoming, Idaho, Montana, and into Colorado all the way through 12-19. And that's probably not it. You can see the next trough building over the top of the Pacific. So let's talk moisture. Here's the forecast radar and satellite. So by 5:30 this afternoon, still maybe a couple specks of blue across potentially the Continental Divide of Colorado, but largely the storm system will be sliding away. All right, here's 12. Here comes our next storm system. This is the one that hits the Sierra first, also parts of Oregon, and then watch what happens. It throws that moisture into Idaho, Montana, Utah, Wyoming, and even into Colorado, 12-12 into 12-13. So that is one storm system. Here comes another one into California. This is 12-13 in the afternoon. Here's 12-14. This one has a pretty big spiral of moisture. You can see the spin around the area of low pressure. This also throws moisture into the interior, 12-14. And look at that, hits the Wasatch squarely, Idaho, the Tetons, Big Sky, Yellowstone. The Sierra still getting snowfall, the Pacific Northwest and BC as well. By 12:15 in the afternoon, it starts to make its move into Colorado with snow, and still some lingering snow 12:16 early. Here comes another storm system, number 3. This is 12:16, 12:17 with snowfall for the interior, and that also slides through Utah, Wyoming, Idaho, and Colorado through 12:17 and 12:18, and then it moves away, and then another storm kind of crosses through the northern tier. All right, here's my snow forecast. So essentially all of today through tomorrow, very light additional accumulation across the Front Range high peaks, the Continental Divide of Colorado. You can see the streaking northwest flow across Montana and parts of Wyoming. So here's the bigger time period, 12-12 through 12-19. So this accounts for 2 to 3 different storm systems. So the numbers in the Sierra, let's start there, looking at about 1.5 feet through parts of Tahoe and Mammoth. Those numbers could certainly go up. I've been watching the integrated vapor transport, the atmospheric river potential, and there's some there around 12, 14, 12, 13, 12, 14, 12, 15. So those numbers could certainly fluctuate up. But looking at big numbers through Shasta, certainly mid-mountain and higher could be looking at 3 to 4 feet plus up there. With this type of flow, it is going to be warmer, so that does tend to push the bigger numbers higher up in the mountains. 1 to 2 feet for the Pacific Northwest, Washington and Oregon, looking really good. Look at Revelstoke, potentially pushing 20 inches. Red Mountain, 10. This is going to be a great stretch through interior BC, all of BC, really. Excellent numbers through a lot of Idaho with a foot, through parts of Brundage and Sun Valley, about a foot for the Wasatch, and those numbers could go up as well. If we bring in more AR moisture, that could certainly translate into bigger numbers through a lot of Utah as well. A foot or more now in my forecast for a lot of the Tetons. Those numbers could also go up. Through Colorado, you've got potentially 4 to 12 inches through a lot of the central and northern mountain zones, especially the western slope, a little less in the southern mountains, but looking good during that time period. Okay, into the northeast. Now, the issue here is it's all rain on 12/11. It'll probably change to snow late 12/11 into early 12/12, but maybe an inch or two of accumulation. What you see here is mainly going to fall down the road once we get through this 12/11 storm system. So it's down the road. And Snow Ridge will likely benefit from some lake effect snow after this 12/11 storm system that kind of builds in from that backside flow. So that's why you see some purples there and some bigger numbers. All right, guys, lots to look forward to during this time period. We got 2 or 3 solid storm systems lined up and potentially a little atmospheric river moisture mixed in. So definitely keep an eye on this forecast. We'll see if it trends up in the next time period. Thanks for tuning in here. Always appreciate it. Take care and have a great day.